Hello everyone, Riri Okoye, Business Growth with Riri, and today we're talking about headlines. So just to put all this in context, I have been speaking, haven't I, about copywriting for the past 2 weeks, copywriting principles. And then I was talking about the practice of copywriting. So I hope that all of you have been practicing your copywriting because, as you know, practice makes us better. So let me lower this and wait for you all to join. Headlines. I said that there's no after party after this, so I'm serious. So good evening, my name is Riri Okoye, as I said before, and if you're on my page you would know that. Copywriting 101 was what we started off on this series, and I said that in order for you to sell, you have to learn how to sell on paper, write on paper, because a lot of things are moving to digital, aren't they? And a lot of my clients and a lot of business owners that I know who were previously not on digital spaces like social media or websites or email marketing, everybody has been forced to kind of move there because of the new normal, because of the pandemic. We're all on this digital space. And even without digital space, even in the past, a lot of people we've always been writing copy from time, haven't we? But we have to get better and better in order to meet our targets. So I have been talking in the past few weeks about copywriting 101, principles of copywriting, and how to practice. And some of the things that I was mentioning last week was to get that pen, wasn't I? And I said that if you write down your copy using a pen, not actually using your computer, it will help you to write better. So I don't know how many of you that are watching this have actually been practicing. But practice, I'm telling you, even I will tell you, because I've been doing copy for a long time, but even till date, when I write copy now, I'm still practicing, I'm still writing with my pen just to get better and better. So as you're all joining, I just wanted to throw some statistics out there, okay? Thank you, Conrad, for joining. I just wanted to share some statistics about headlines. So 8 out of 10 of us, when you see a headline, 8 out of 10 people read headlines. 8 out of 10. Okay, but the problem with headlines is only 2 out of those 10 people click through to headlines. So 8 out of 10, when we see a headline, it grabs our attention. But what are we doing? Are we taking action? We're not really taking action. So just bear that in mind, that even if you think you have a fantastic headline, 8 out of 10 read it, but 2 out of 10 only click through. And you want that to rise. You want more people not just to listen, not just to read your headline, but to take action. Now, one of the things I want you all to know is the purpose of a headline. The purpose of seeing that headline. The first thing is the purpose is that you want them to read whatever is next. That is so important to realize, that what you want them to do is to read the next line. If they don't, because you might spend all day writing a fantastic copy. Maybe you're launching a new iPod game, or like a bag, or whatever business that you're in, and you've spent all day writing that copy. But if your headline is not grabbing, if your headline doesn't take people into that area, then you would have wasted your time. So the purpose of the headline is not just to read the headline, but to read the next sentence, to read what is coming next. Because a lot of the times, especially on digital spaces, when you are writing a headline, it's because you want them to go somewhere else. So perhaps you want them to go to your website or go to your sales page. But you're the title, the headline. The purpose of it is you want them to do something else. Okay. So the thing about headlines is that they come in all different ways. There are different strategies that you can use to write headlines. One of the strategies that people use is asking questions, and what I've been saying in a lot of the other conversations that I've had with you all is that you need to know your target audience. You need to know their deepest pains, deepest fears, all of that stuff, so that when you're writing headlines, you're writing things that will trigger them. My audiences, which are small business owners, may be different to your audiences. So when I'm writing my headlines, I'm writing things that I've already had conversations with business owners. I've already done surveys and said to them, what are the things that frustrate you? What do you want to get better at? And the type of conversations I have are typically selling, marketing, branding, networking, all of that stuff. So when I'm writing my copy, because I have done surveys and because I have communicated with my target audience, when I write the headlines, I'm writing it based on the surveys, based on the communications that I've had with business owners. If you don't do that, then you may find that you're not going to get those click-throughs because you're not addressing their pain. So when you're thinking about your headlines, always think to yourself, when I had a conversation with my my target audience, what was their pain? What were they what was their frustration? What are the things that keep them up at night? And that is a good way to create a good headline, okay? So let me go through some of these things that you need to do. So one of the good ways of attracting people with a headline is using numbers, and I'm sure you've seen it before. Like for example, even in the courses that I have at ririokoye.com, that was one of my strategies. Some of my courses use numbers. So I have some courses that say things like this: 6 steps to become a sought-after personal brand. And I've said that because I've had conversations with a lot of my target audience, and some of them are like, oh Riri, I want to push up my branding, what do I need to do? So because of those type of conversations, this is how I put my headline. Other things, 6 secrets to social media success. And then recently, as you probably all know, the last one that is really getting traction, and I'm getting people coming into this my masterclass, 10 powerful tips to sell anything. So this is deliberately and intentional to my target audience because, as I said, I know them. I know their frustrations, I know their pains, I know their desires. So I'm writing headlines that will grab their attention, that will talk to things that we've had conversations. I'm talking to them so that I'm identifying with their needs and their pains. So that's one thing you can do. You can use numbers, okay? So the next, let me lower this. So the next thing that you can do, apart from using numbers, is you can use rationale. So an underlying reason why somebody wants to do something. And again, I'll give examples based on my own, some of the courses that I do. So it's a rationale. Why should I click? So some of mine, again, are things like this: simple techniques to triple sales. It's a rationale. Somebody will, a lot of people are frustrated right now. They're trying to get more sales. So, I've got a course out there that says simple techniques to triple sales. There's a rationale of doing something. So I hope that this is making sense. Another one I have is how to triple sales by marketing effectively. Again, I'm using a rationale so that it triggers my target audience to do something. 6 essential skills for immediate success. Again, it's a rationale. The person wants immediate success. They want they want essential selling skills. So these are the things that you need to do. You've got to think about your target audience, think about their pain, and then write headlines that create rationale. Another thing that you can do is use adjectives. You see it all the time in headlines. Fun ways to do this, amazing, the absolute, essential ways to. These are adjectives, but they actually create, they create curiosity. People are thinking, wow, I want to learn more. So remember, as I'm talking through this, the purpose of your headline is to get your audience to do something different. Another thing that you have to do is use emotional words. Use words that make people feel something. Because some of these emotional words can make us feel different ways. Some of them will make us feel happy. Some of them will make us feel fearful. Some of them will make us feel, like curious. So we're using emotional words to grab attention. And some of these emotional words are things like hurry now. I'm sure you've seen that on headlines, haven't you? Simple, amazing is another emotional word. So using these emotional words will make people come into your, to read your headline and move on to the next thing. Because as I keep saying, the headline is there for one purpose, and it's to make sure that the person doesn't move away. Because remember what I said to you before, 8 out of 10 people will read your headline, but only 2 out of 10 will stay there and go on to the next section, okay? Another way to draw attention with your headline is to intrigue your audience, and that intriguing is all about curiosity. And, and it's when they see that headline, they're like, okay, what's next, and what's this, and what's that? You're causing, curiosity. So in one of my courses, I've got something like that says accelerate your income in any economy. So when somebody sees that, they're thinking, oh wow, what does that mean? And they click, and then more information about this course is on my website. And I'm going to tell you a bit later about clickbait, because it's something, as a conversation that I have a lot of the times with millennials, but it's something that I will tell you about a bit later. All right, so another way to grab attention is to share a result, share something that has happened, share a testimonial, share something that will make people, hi Taye, thank you for joining, share something that will make people go further. So for example, I made $300 a year on Fiverr. And the thing about these headlines is that you've got to be honest, because there's no point in putting all these claims out, and I'm going to talk about that a bit later, but there's no point in putting out all these claims and saying something if it didn't really happen. So sharing a result, a testimonial from one of your audiences will really attract attention. Another way, because I'm talking about headlines now and the different methodologies and the different strategies that we can use, is urgency. 7 spots left for the ultimate personal coaching for business owners. So you're creating an urgency, and it just makes the person, because remember, the purpose of the headline is for them to read further. So urgency is another way to grab attention. And then the final one is to ask a question. And asking that question, again, is related to your audience's pain. Can I help you get more sales using WhatsApp? Can I help you get more sales using Instagram? You're asking a question, and those questions, again, are triggered by what your audience have said to you in the past. Now, a conversation that I've had with a lot of millennials, younger people, just general people, is about the clickbait. And people, business owners have been saying to me, Riri, should I use clickbait? Because I really want to attract people to my pages or to my work. And I say it's a no, 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 no. And what are clickbaits? They're sensational headlines. They're headlines that do grab attention, but they don't lead to anything. And if you use headlines, what will happen is your audience will not trust you. And think about it. You're a business owner. You've been building up your brand. Maybe you've been on Instagram for quite a while now, trying to build up audience. Now you have a product that you want to put out there, but you're using clickbait. What I do when I see something that is clickbait and I go to it, I never go to that thing again, or I'll unsubscribe from the person, or I will unfollow them, because I don't trust them. And we as business owners and entrepreneurs, we want our audiences to trust us. So we don't want to use things like clickbait, because they'll run away, okay? And another thing too is that if you constantly use clickbait, some of these social media apps, so that they know those type of things, so you can get blocked, you can get, your bounce rate will increase, because they'll start to see it. Even on MailChimp, if you're using them on places like MailChimp, they have all the, they're very smart. They have all these processes and things inside the computer that knows that it's a clickbait and it's not genuine. So it's not worth it. And then sometimes, especially on Facebook and Instagram, if you do things like that, you'll eventually get banned. And I know people that have been banned, not even for using clickbait, but it's so difficult to get your accounts back open. I know somebody that had 10,000 or even more followers, and I don't know what she did, but she still hasn't got her account back on. So it's not worth it. If you're building a brand, just say what it is that you want to say, and make sure that it's leading to something that you're really promising. It's not worth using the clickbait. I hope that this is making sense, right? So another thing, the key thing I want to say about headlines, just like I've been talking about copyright throughout my training, is that practice, practice, practice. Practice makes perfect. And the good thing about this era, this digital age, is that there are insights. If you're using Instagram a lot for your marketing, you can go into your insights and see the click rates. You can see all the campaigns that you're doing, and the ones that are getting more attraction, the ones that people are reading, the ones that people are clicking through. It gives you all that information. I've been in marketing for a long, long time, and I can tell you that back in the days, which sounds like the olden days, yes, we didn't have all this information, but now, thank God for technology, you have all this insights, tracking that can actually show you which of your posts or your email marketing, whatever it is that you're doing in terms of your copywriting, is going to draw more audience to you, okay? But just so that I can summarize, because I always say that this is just like a 20-minute live, I'll go back just to to sort of give context as to what I've been saying. I've been talking about headlines and the best way to get people to read your headlines. What I said initially was that headlines are just it's an attention grabber, and the purpose of the headline is for your audience to do something next. Now, a lot of people read headlines. 8 out of 10 people read headlines, but what did I say before? Only 2 out of 10 of them actually take action or read the next sentence. So as marketers, as business owners, your whole idea is to make sure that headline, that first initial headline, is leading to something else. And I said that there are different ways that you can do it. There are different strategies. One of them being use numbers, and I mentioned the different things that I do, like on my courses, 6 steps to become a sought-after personal brand, 6 secrets to social media success. Using numbers is a good way to create that attraction. Another one that I mentioned before was using rationale, didn't I? I said that when you rationale, especially for your target audience, bearing in mind that you know what their pains are, you've got to give them a rationale. Why should I read this? Because people are busy, aren't they? Busy seasons. It's coming up to Christmas right now. People are trying to, meet their targets and sell their goods and items. Why should I listen to you? Why should I use these techniques? So you've got to put that in your headline. For example, as I mentioned to you before, simple techniques to triple sales, to triple retail sales. It's a rationale. So you've got to make sure that you use a rationale. So numbers, rationale. I also said that you can use adjectives like fun, amazing, absolute, essential. These are things that pull people onto the page. And I also said to use emotional words, because emotional words, we all know that people don't just buy for logical reasons, do they? They buy for emotional reasons too. So use emotional words like simple, final, complete, Another thing I said to do in terms of, making sure that people actually read and follow on to with your headlines is to intrigue your audience. Because we're human beings, we're curious, aren't we? We want to know what's next, So if you have headlines that are intriguing, it will also attract your audience. And then also share results, but share results that have actually happened. For example, if your customers have said to you, like when I did one of my coaching, one of my customers said to me, Rita, that immediately I finished with your coaching, I made 30 to 40% revenue immediately. So that is something that it's a headline that I've used and I can use in my copy, because that is not just, it's fact, and it will make whoever's reading it think, oh, really? People love numbers, okay? And I also talked about urgency, didn't I, in terms of headlines, like if you are selling something, you perhaps may want to tell them in the numbers how many slots are left. That also creates urgency, okay? And then the final thing I was saying to you is that you have to ask a question. So asking a question will also help you to, help people to listen, read your headlines. So I wanted to know if anybody had any headlines that I could critically look at now to see if you've used any of these strategies. I don't know if anybody has anything that they have, a headline that they have written recently that they want me to critically look at and give you some feedback to see if I would, click on it. Does anybody have their own headline that they have been that they have been putting out recently? And I will tell you if I feel that you're using those rules. Let me just see if there's anything else that I wanted to cover before I ask you if there are any questions that you have for me. Okay, so yes, there are some actually. So some of the things that is important to realize with your headlines is you've got to ask yourself when you're writing them and when you're practicing, ask yourself these questions. Is it unique? Because there's so many, this is the information age, isn't it? So if you put a headline out there that is not unique, people are going to run off because it's like, oh, this is boring. So always when you're testing and writing, ask yourself that, step out of yourself and just think to yourself, would I read this if I wasn't writing this? So is it unique? That is one of the questions to ask. Is it specific? So when I say specific, is it specific to your target audience? Because if it's not specific, somebody that isn't bothered about what you're writing, or even your target audience may not think it's for them. So make sure it's specific to your target audience. Another key thing is it clear? Because even some of my copy or some of my headlines, I've had to go back and rewrite them, because you know how it is, sometimes you're so creative and you're writing something, and then when you go back, you're thinking, wait a minute, that's not clear. Or maybe it is clear, but something can be really, really clear. Because people are so busy and people just come out of, like if you've got a headline, people just go away from it so quickly. You want it to be so clear that there's no room for somebody to say, what is Riri writing? You want it to be so clear like ABC, okay? And the final thing in terms of the rules is it useful? So remember the rationale thing that I was talking about? The person is going to say, what is in it for me? Remember when I was talking about copywriting 2 weeks ago and even last week, I keep saying to you that your audience is not really interested in you, they're interested in themselves. And what your clients are always saying, what your customers are always saying is, what is in it for me? Everybody that has come on this live now, you're asking that self, how am I going to use these strategies that Riri has taught me so that I can improve my sales or attract my audiences? That is your question. It's got nothing to do with me. So when you're writing your copy too, always look at your copy and say, is this useful for my clients? All right? And also what you can do in some of your headlines is state the benefits, because when you're stating the benefits in your headlines, it's very clear for your audience. So I hope I'm making sense. And as I said before, one of the things that I like to do, I like to be interactive. And thank you everybody that has just joined me now. I wanted to ask, do you have any headlines that you want to put inside the comment bar that I can critically analyze and give you feedback and see whether you're using some of these rules to grab attention? So I'll just clarify what I just said before. These are just some rules that you need to use for when you're writing headlines. You've got to ask yourself all the time, is this unique? Because think about it, if there's like 100 of different people in your industry that are asking the same question, your audience are going to think, boring, here she's come again, everybody's asking that. So try and ask questions that people are not asking, or try and write headlines that are not so unique, because there are some headlines out there that everybody always asking. So try and write headlines that are unique. And then again, specific to your target audience, specific to their needs. And what I said at the beginning when I started this is that even before you start your headlines, one of the things I always tell my clients is to always do surveys, do questionnaires, find out what their pains are, so that when you're writing the headlines, they're like, Riri knows what I'm going through. Riri, and that is because you've actually asked questions. That's because you understand your audience's deepest fears, their needs, the things that keep them up at night. It's so important to do that. And then the rule of communication, make it so clear, like ABC. There's no reason for them to switch off, because people are busy, aren't they? People are busy doing so many different things. And the final thing I said is make sure that it's useful. Make sure that your target audience are saying, what is in this for me? What is in this for me? So I hope I've made sense. Does anybody have any questions? I haven't seen anybody's, any examples of your headlines so that I can see whether you're using the rules for headlines or not, but that's okay. Maybe you can go back, and if you have any questions, I'm always a DM away, so maybe you want to send it to me in my DM, and then we can just chat about your headline there. But it's important to practice. Remember, that was one of the things I was talking about last week. Don't just listen to a lot of these lessons from us coaches, business teaching, but actually do the practicing, because the more you practice, the more you'll get better. Another thing that is so important to do is to test and keep testing, and to look at your insights, and your insights will give you real-time figures and results of what people are, what interests your audience. So go to your insights and see the type of headlines that people are clicking onto or people are reading, and that will help you to come up with creative copy for your audience. Does this make sense? Can I see that this is making sense? Am I being clear? Does anybody have any questions? Thank you for joining, everyone. Headlines are the key to, improving your sales, because it's the first thing that your audience sees before they even read and continue to read your copy. And as I said, for those of you that joined at the beginning, I said that this is a digital age, isn't it? We are all writing sales pages. We are all writing, whether it's on social media, on email marketing, on our websites, and we want our audiences to take action. We want our audiences to read what we have. So you spend the whole day writing a really nice piece of information, but because the headline is not grabbing, people are not going to click onto it. So what I also say about that headline is, before you even write your headline, finish writing all your copy first, because the headline is the last thing. When I'm writing, even for blogs, when I'm writing a blog, that is the last thing I write. I finish writing all my document before I write that headline. That's something else that you should know. So does anybody have any questions, or does anybody have their headlines that I can go through or see and give some feedback? Does anybody have any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Is this making sense? Let me know if this is making sense to you, and whether what I've said to you is clear. If you have any questions, please ask me, because headlines are really important for our business. They're really important for sales. They're really important for for our audience to really know what we are talking about. But there are strategies, there are techniques to make us better. If you're joining, and we are, because this is really short lessons that I teach on Thursdays, this is going to be on a replay. So please go back to the replay, and even if you've joined from the beginning, you can go through this again, look through it again, just to see all the things that I've said. So have I made sense this evening? I hope that I have made sense. I hope that you are going to use those adjectives, emotional words. You're going to intrigue your audience with curiosity. You're going to share your results, and you are going to use urgency and ask questions. These are all the strategies that I've been talking about throughout this short teaching on headlines. Okay? I don't seem to have any questions. Does that mean that I have been clear? That's what it seems like. If I don't have any questions, it means that what I've communicated to you has been very clear. I hope so. Okay, there doesn't seem to be any questions today. That's fine. But as I said before, if you do have any questions, please send me a DM. Send me your headlines and let me critique them for you. Let me, see what they're like, and I can tell, I'll just give you my professional opinion as to the headline, and to see whether it's using any of the principles that I've shared in here. But one thing that I always say to my audience as marketeers, business owners, is to keep testing and just keep changing things up, and you get better that way. All right, thank you very much for those of you that are joining. We are about to leave because I can't see anybody's headlines and I can't see anyone's questions. So it seems to appear to me that I have communicated myself effectively with these headlines, and that you're all going to go away and practice the headlines. So I just wanted to say that next week, Business Growth with Riri will not be on next week, because unfortunately I have a burial. Please say a prayer for me. One of my good friends, Bimbo from Wiggly Yours, she passed away on the 3rd of October due to a long illness. So next Thursday I will be going for her service of songs, and then the burial the next day. So unfortunately there is no Business Growth with Riri next Thursday, but I'll be around a week later. Now there is a few things that I've got out at the moment, especially there's a masterclass, 10 powerful things to sell anything, that's out at the moment. And there's also one-on-one personal coaching. So I've got that all on my link in bio. If you want to work with me, if you want me to work with you to help you to improve your sales and marketing, then again, please feel free to reach me after this live, and we can talk on DM. But I can see some more people joining. This was it was only supposed to be a 20-minute live session. I was looking for questions to answer on your headlines. I can't see any questions at the moment. So if there are no questions, this will soon end, but thank you very much. And I look forward to you in the next 2 weeks. As I said, can't do next week because I'm going for a service of songs, but I'll be back the upper week. If you have any further questions, if you want to share your headlines with me, please hit me up in DM, and I'll look at them and I'll critique them and I'll give you feedback. All right? So thank you very much for joining, everyone. Thank you very much, and I'll see you again next time. Once again, this has been Riri, Business Growth with Riri on IG, and I look forward to seeing you all another time. Take care and keep practicing on those headlines, on those copywriting. If this is the first time that you're tuning in, if you go to IGTV, you will see past editions of this series where I was talking about copywriting 101 and principles, how to use power words. I've been talking about the practice of copywriting. So they're all there in my IGTV, and this will be saved so you can watch the replay, get the principles, get the lessons, and just get better at writing headlines. Okay? Thank you very much, everyone, and see you again soon. Bye. Thank you. Thank you, Yinka. Thank you, James. Thank you, Treasure. Thank you, Nati. Thank you, Detola. Thank you, Taya. Thank you, Conrad. Thank you, anyone else that's joining. And thank you for those of you that are going to watch the replay and are going to take action with the lessons that I'm teaching you. So thank you all, and see you again next time. Bye. Thank you.